Hi, Grandma. Are you having a good day?
I am.
Okay. Before me, Mom, and Dad started playing games, what did you think of when you had heard the words board games?
Well, seeing as I'm an oldie, I thought of Monopoly, Scrabble, Clue, Mousetrap.
Did you play any board games before you played with
Just,
us?
well, Grandpa and I used to play Scrabble and Monopoly at least twice a week.
When you first heard about and saw the games we play, what did you think?
Scared?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I was scared because I know the type of games that Dad and Mom used to play even before you were born. And Dad can tell you sometimes that we would play, especially I think it was Arkham Horror, and I was just terrified because I had no concept of the type of games that you guys were playing or that they were playing at the time.
Well, what do you think now?
Well, I have to tell you, there's a lot of games that you have introduced me to that I absolutely love. I still have trouble with them, and you guys are very patient with me, which I thank you a lot for. But there are a lot of games that I'm really interested in, like the one that we played last week. Oh my goodness, I forget the name of it already.
Indian Summer?
Yes. Some of them are still going to take me a couple of times before I get really into them and understand the play. But I thank you guys for being patient with me because you helped me through. I like Poetry Slam. That was fun this summer with all of us. Some games I just like to watch you guys play. Some games, like I say, some games are just really hard for me to get into because I don't understand the concept. But give me time. I think I've done pretty good with you guys so far.
Yeah, you really have.
Thank you.
What would you say to people like you who don't even know these types of games exist?
They should try them. They really should. You don't know if you're going to like anything unless you try it. As with anything, I think if their families are really into it, you've got to give it a shot. Because look at me, I never thought I'd play as many board games as I do with you guys. I know I don't play as many as you like, but I have fun when I do it.
Thank you so much for talking with me today.
You are so welcome. I hope I helped.
Hi, Ariel. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. If my voice sounds a little off, I'm just getting over a cold.
We've known each other a long time, right?
We have, since you were just a little baby.
You used to play a few board games and RPGs before you met my dad. Tell me about those and what interested you.
Maybe 10 or so years ago was when I first really started to play board games. I think Carcassonne was my first. I was thinking about that today. My friends from college brought it over, and boy, do I love tile placement. And then a few other times with my husband Kevin's coworkers, we'd play Talisman or Twilight Imperium, stuff like that. And also with the same coworkers, started to play Dungeons and Dragons, which I wanted to play for a long time. And we had so much fun, and I love Dungeons and Dragons to this day. As you know, because I run a campaign for you and the Cardboard Family.
Did you consider yourself a tabletop gamer back then?
No, I didn't. I really had no idea how many different board games are out there and RPGs that were out there in different systems. All I knew was these few board games I play in Dungeons and Dragons.
I know you're into board games now. What changed?
It was the Cardboard Family that changed everything for me. Cardboard Mom and Dad and I started playing Arkham Horror. I remember setting it up in the basement on the floor that took so much space. And then every time I came to visit you guys, you had more and more new, cool games and so many different kinds of games. So I feel like I've been exposed to like so much, so many cool things.
What would you say to people like you who may want to get into games but don't know where to start?
I started playing a few other board games when I started going to conventions. Sushi Go was one of them, because they asked if we'd like to learn a new game. So I think if you're able to go to conventions, that'd be great, because usually there's always some board games for you to play, and it's a great way to meet new people. We're lucky here in Ottawa to have a board game cafe, which I've gone to a few times, which has a great selection, and some nights are open nights where you just go meet up with new people and play games. And with social media and the internet, it's so easy to find gaming groups, whether it's tabletop games or RPGs or anything. You just got to put yourself out there and do it.
Thanks so much for talking with me.
It was really lovely chatting with you.
Hi, Norm.
Hi, Cardboard Kid.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Good. I just came home from Grandma's from a nice, yummy dinner. Did you play many board games as a kid?
I played more traditional board games as a kid, like Sorry, Monopoly. Played card games with my Bubba and Guido, but nothing as intricate as the games that you've introduced me to.
What about in high school with my mom and dad?
Yeah, we actually played a fair amount of games, and your dad and mom introduced me to more of the European style games, a lot more complicated games that required a little bit more critical thinking, and also more traditional board game from the East Coast. I think it's called Tuck, and that was really fun.
And as an adult?
And as an adult, well, I mean, just the last time we had a visit, you guys introduced me to, well, I would say 15 to 20 new games, and that was really enjoyable.
What did you think when you first learned about the games we play?
Each one had its own unique learning curve, and I thought it was really interesting that there were so many mechanics and variations that you could find in games. And I really wasn't familiar with a lot of the terminology in games that you and your mom and your dad introduced me to.
Did you enjoy playing them with us?
Very much. I honestly enjoyed every single game we played, some more than others, but every game was fun and a brand new experience.
Now that you know these games exist, how would you introduce them to interested friends and family?
Well, here in Windsor, and I think in a lot of places, there's board game cafes that are becoming more and more popular. So something I plan to do with friends is to go to these board game cafes and maybe play a game that they're familiar with, and then show them one of the games that you've introduced me to, and introduce it to them in kind.
Thanks so much for talking with me tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
Mm-hmm.